Teresa, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me here today. Today I've got a big pile of papers. Some of these are the tissue papers that we printed 2 weeks ago. Some of them are just clean up papers. I've got a few prints in here. I've just got paper that I've cleaned my brayer off on. Lots of sort of scraps, nothing any heavier than just a standard printer weight paper. And we're going to be doing some collage today, and what we're going to create is this beautiful canvas with colourful fish on it. I'm going to show you how to create the painted background. We're going to use the jelly plate to help do some stamping on the background, and then we're going to cut and collage our beautiful fish on top of that. I'm going to clear this out of the way. I'll be right back to show you how it's done. I'll begin with a quick rundown of the products I'm using today. I have a canvas here. This is the canvas that I very nearly used last week and decided it was too big, because it's a 16 by 20 inch canvas. It's quite a sizable one and tricky to fit in the camera view. I mean, I can turn it to landscape and do that, but I figured I should probably be able to make sure I've got the camera pointing at the area I'm working on, and that'll be fine. I just fancied working on something bigger today, despite my hesitation last week. So I've got that. I have a selection of collage papers again, following on from the last couple of weeks. This is more of the tissue papers that we created specifically for collage. Do check out, I'll link in the corner the original video, and just go to my gel printing playlist if you want to watch that, and watch last week's video where we collaged with these papers as well. I did also have a rummage through my drawer where I keep all my prints and scrap papers, and I've pulled out a selection of prints and really just sort of clean off papers. The one thing that these all have in common is they're on just basic thin printer copier paper, you know, just your 80 GSM sort of cheap printer paper. Now most of them are clean off papers, as I say, where I clean my brayer off, clean stencils off. So, and they're not specifically prints as such, they're more just an accumulation of paint, shall we say, I do save a lot of these. Now there are some actual prints in here, some sort of less successful prints, but mainly just these sort of say clean off papers. But I do find that they do come in handy. They come in handy for collage. They come in handy if I want to work on top of them for other prints. But I liked these because a lot of these have got this metallic paint on them, and I just fancied something with a bit of shine today as well, because I want to work on a fishy themed piece. So I've pulled these out to work alongside with these tissue papers. I also have a selection of mark making items. These are just things with sort of circles and dots is going to be my theme, because these are just going to go on the background. So these are just plastic packaging out of a box that had glue sticks in, like let me see, this type of glue stick, and they fit in the box on these, and I hung on to them because they're quite good for making circular marks. I have a piece of like black foam rubber, again good for making a dot pattern. These are a few little foam stamps, circles, dots, and I've got a piece of bubble wrap here as well. I have a little gel plate out, and although we're not doing gel printing as such today, using a gel plate, when you apply the paint to it with a brayer, obviously you get a nice thin even coat, which is really good then if you want to stamp using paint. If I tried to paint some acrylic paint onto these items, it would be a bit drippy, a bit blobby. But if you put the paint onto your gel plate, then press the stamp into that and lift it off, you've got a nice thin even coating that you can then transfer. Now of course you could take a piece of paper and create a print from whatever's left on there, that's fine, that's up to you. I'm not doing that today. I have more than enough prints to get through, which is part of the purpose of today's project. But that's the reason I've got the plate out, because it's a really good way of getting a nice thin layer of paint that you can then put things into that and stamp with. And I'm just going to be using these to embellish a painted background before I start collaging with my printed papers. We'll be sticking the papers down again today with the same products as we used last week. So you can either use things like this decoupage medium, or if you haven't got that, just a matte medium would work absolutely fine. I did get asked last week, can you use PVA glue to do it? And the bottom line is, yes, you can use PVA glue. It will stick it down. It does dry clear. PVA glue has a tendency that it can sort of have a slight tackiness to it. It can sort of absorb moisture from the air and feel a little bit sticky from time to time. So I wouldn't recommend it. I won't say that you can't use it, but if that's all you've got, it will do the job. It's absolutely fine. But do beware if you're doing collage in a journal or something, that if you've used PVA, when you close that journal, that it could cause your pages to stick, and you don't want to find that you open it and you're lifting bits of paper or paint off the surface. So just bear that in mind. Obviously, I'm going to use some acrylic paint to paint my canvas in the background and do this sort of bit of printing. But then we're going to be collaging, probably embellishing with maybe a gel pen, metallic pen, something like that at the end. You'll have seen the thumbnail by now, so you'll know where this is going. So I'm just going to move these bits and pieces out of the way, and I shall start creating my background. The paints I'm using today are Deco Art brand paints. I think they're mostly from the Americana range. I've got one from the Crafters acrylic range. I've got white, and I have True Blue, Calypso Blue, Sea Breeze, Sour Apple, and then in the Crafters acrylic range, Navy Blue. But as you can see, just chosen a selection of colours that should give me the effect that I want in the background. Chosen a fairly large brush, not huge. I don't really have a massive brush, so I'm hoping it won't take me too long to cover this large canvas. But I'm just going to start putting paint on and hope for the best, just get a nice sort of blended effect.
I've been running most of my life, blowing smoke everywhere around. I've been searching, but I can't seem to find someone that can hold me through the night. I'll count to 10, then open up my eyes. If you're gone, I'll take it as a sign. But if you stay, then baby hold me tight and send me off with the words of a lullaby.
So that's my basic background layer painted. As you can see, I've sort of gone over a gradient from a white through turquoise down to a blue. It's pretty much dry, still a little bit damp in the middle there, but I should be able to start with adding a little bit of texture to that with my mark making tools. I'm going to be using the same colours because I want to keep this sort of ombre blend going, and I shall just sort of work randomly in the same way that I didn't think too hard about this. Just put the paint on, just painted it all roughly, not looking for a perfect blend. So I always find that works best for me.
Send me off with the words of a lullaby. I've been trying to make sense of it all, looking for signs in the stars, but it's been right in front of me this whole time. Can't believe I didn't see the light. I'll count to 10, then open up my eyes. If you're gone, I'll take it as a sign. lullaby. If I never see the light, I wouldn't care, 'cause I'm so perfect right here. If I never see the light, I wouldn't care, 'cause I'm so perfect right here. I'd count to 10, then open up my eyes. If you're gone, I'll take it as a sign. But if you'll stay, then baby hold me tight and send me off with the words of a lullaby. With the words of a lullaby.
And here's my finished background. I like that. It gives the effect of some movement, some bubbles. I know it's a bit tricky to sort of capture it all on the camera, but I'm really happy with that. And as I say, for the most part, this bottom section in particular is going to be covered with collage, but I think it's just going to add enough interest in there just to see a little bit of pattern peeping through. And the gel plate's a really good way to use these sort of foam stamps and things like that, just to get a nice thin coat of paint. So next we're moving on to collage, and I'm going to be cutting out lots and lots of fish shapes, pretty much the same shape but in different sizes, because I want a whole shoal of fish sort of swimming up and around, sort of again to sort of keep this sense of movement and motion going. I decided the easiest and quite possibly the quickest way for me to create lots of fish was just to draw out a simple template on a piece of white card. And it's essentially the same fish shape. I've done 4 different sizes. Most of my fish I think are going to be the larger ones, but I might want just some little ones for filling in gaps and just going around the edge. It'll help give the illusion of depth and just a little bit of variation. I like to sort of repeat and vary the same things in the way that the background is circles and dots. This fish is going to be basically the same fish but in different sizes. So I thought if I draw myself some templates, I can just pop them down onto my print, draw around it and then cut them out, and that's going to be quicker than sort of freehand cutting every single one. I just think it might just be a little bit simpler. So I'm just going to take a pencil and draw around my template. And then I can just cut that out. So I'm going to go ahead, cut a load of fish out. You don't need to watch me do that. And I'll be back to start assembling the collage. So as you can see, I've got a selection of fish in different sizes, different colours. Really pleased with that. Not sure if I've got enough, but I've got enough to make a start. And obviously, as I'm going through, if I decide I need a few more larger or smaller ones, I can just cut some more as I go. As with the background, I'm not going to try and think too much about this. I'm going to sort of place them roughly where I want them and just hopefully find something that sort of suits me, that something I'm happy with. I'm really not going to try and overthink these things. It's sort of almost a way of shutting off that conscious part of your brain and replacing it with one that just sort of makes a decision, an immediate decision, and sticks with it. Don't try and second guess yourself too much, because all you'll succeed in doing is just driving yourself absolutely mad if you try and overthink it. So I'm sort of laying these on. Now some of them will overlap the edge and I can trim those afterwards. I'm just sort of trying to get some spacing. I don't want my fish overlapping each other, so I just want to lay them in place on my canvas and see how we go from there. And I can see from this I've got a little bit of a gap here. I have a bit of a space on this side here. So I'm going to need a couple more of these smaller 2 sizes of fish. So now I think I've sort of filled the space that I want. I'm going to start sticking. This is going to be exactly the same way that we created our collage last week. I'm just going to be popping some, I think I'm going to actually use the decoupage medium, putting that down on the canvas, sticking the fish down, and then just going over any edges that are lifting up just to seal it around the edge.
May you always find your way to higher ground. May you always keep your head held up high. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough. Just the sight of you when I'm at my weakest point makes a world of difference, oh you make me strong. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough. Ordering a cup of love, feel it rising up and above. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. Plant your seeds and watch them grow. The light will always know where to go. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. You're the first thing in the morning and the last. Baby, you're my future and you are my past. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough. Ordering a cup of love, feel it rising up and above. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. Plant your seeds and watch them grow. The light will always know where to go. You will always keep my heart and soul strong.
Here's my finished canvas. I put an extra fish in this bottom corner, and I put a couple more just at the top just to take the fish going off up the corner. But to all intents and purposes, it's finished. You can probably see where the light's catching it, that I have a little bit of a sheen where the decoupage medium is, as opposed to the acrylic paint underneath, which is a lot flatter. And all I'm going to do to solve that is give it a couple of coats of either a matte or a satin varnish, but I need to let this collage completely dry. I'm going to give it a good couple of hours to be sure that it's completely dry, otherwise it's just going to cause my paper to wrinkle if I apply some varnish directly on top. Now, some of the thicker papers, the ones especially that had got the metallic paint on, they've crinkled a little bit. It does happen. As I say, this is just a sort of printer paper, and the paper itself sort of expands where it gets wet, but the metallic paint doesn't expand, and so you get a little crinkling. Most of that should flatten out as it dries, and as I say, by the time I've got a couple of coats of varnish on there, it won't really be particularly noticeable, and even if there's still a slight crinkle, I'm not too bothered about that. I've decided not to apply any detail with pens. I was in two minds whether whether I would need to add any outlining or anything like that, but I actually really like these fish shapes as they are. I love the contrast with the background, and I'm just really happy with it, the way that it's turned out. And I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it as it is, apart from, as I say, adding a little bit of varnish when I'm done. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I know it's similar in a way to last week's. We were still collaging with our papers, but you know, we've added in, instead of using collage paper for the background, we've painted a background. We've used our plate to apply paint onto some stamps to create some decorative effects in the background. And we've found another great use for all those prints, for those clean off papers, the papers that, you know, otherwise what would we use them for? They were absolutely perfect for this, and I'm really, really pleased with this painting. I'm undecided whether I'm going to hang this on the wall here or whether I might actually pop it in my Etsy shop for sale. We'll see. Keep your eyes peeled. It may go in there, it may not. I'm really, really pleased with this. And I'm glad that I decided to go for this large format. I was unsure how it would work for a video, but, you know, I've managed to get an angle here where we can show the whole canvas on our table. So, as always, please leave me thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget to check out the jelly printing playlist that I always link in the end card if you want more ideas. I shall see you again next week. But for now, that's all. Bye.
Strong. Plant your seeds and watch them grow. The light will always know where to go. You will always keep my heart and soul strong.